Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Buster Show. Today we have a very funny and talented guest, and that is because we have Caleb Pressley in on the show. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Buster?
I'm doing good. I sort of broke the rule when introducing somebody funny to call them funny beforehand because now it's
Way too much pressure.
way too much. I should have said the unfunny Caleb Presley so you
Yeah,
can
dude.
exceed all expectations off the
I'm gonna
bat.
try to pivot. I'm gonna go the other way with it, just so make sure people know that they recognize your fuck up. They know not to ever do that in their personal lives. How bad it can go.
I wanted to thank you for coming on. Because I was right before this, I was able to watch 45 minutes of your content and call it work. and that's always something great that I can self-justify. I was just watching some of your Instagram interviews. There was one, I don't know what college you did it at, but it was with it was a guy named Trevor or something like that. It was in December, and you were
the guy from Texas. He's a thought, wasn't he?
Yeah. You were interviewing him about his inner collegiate dynamic with his friends and how he always wanted to be around girls. And the only thing I could think was, you're sitting there so close up to these people when you're interviewing them, asking them the most ridiculous things. How do you not crack up? Or are those just the outtakes?
I just think it's how I'm built. That's the number one question. Like, if someone's gonna ask me a question, that's what they say. Like, how do you not laugh? I'm like, dude, it just doesn't occur to me to laugh. It's just how I'm built. Like, just how my mind is. I don't know. I've been doing that since I was a little kid. Me and my cousins used to like run up on. It was like we go to like Myrtle Beach for the summer, and me and my cousins, like my age, like one of the things we would do is like they would have me run up to like a group of people or like a random guy on the sidewalk, and then just kind of like just basically fuck with them. When I was a little kid, it's just something I've always thought was fun. I've always liked to see how people react, like real reactions from people when they're put in weird spots is like the funniest humor to me. I watched Step Brothers last night. Like, that's one of the funniest movies of all time. Like, and I love that comedy too, but the funniest things to me are when people are really live, real reactions, and you get to see how people really are. It just crushes me. It has my whole life.
Dude, it's funny too, because I feel like the way that media is going right now is people are just desperate for authenticity too. And there's no better way to guarantee authenticity than people being uncomfortable.
Yeah, put them in this tough spot. They don't know they're being recorded. I mean, it's hard to do that now. Like hidden cam shows you can still do, but when I first started working at Barstool, we could kind of do whatever we wanted. We didn't really need releases, anything like that. All that has completely changed. I don't know if it's the times that have changed or Barstool's got way more legitimate where it's like a chance that we could actually be sued. Where back in the day, people were wasting their own money trying to sue us, but
Right.
it's like hard to do that kind of stuff. But when you can get it, it's funny.
Damn. Now, for something like that example, you said you filmed at Texas. How do you prep for something like that? Because it's not a normal interview. There's no research to be done. There are no articles written about these kids at this college. Are you just talking to people around them and then, figuring out that storyline and how to attack it? Or are you just going off the whim because it seemed like you're obviously just naturally good at it?
I mean, it's always like I always go into it. We're not making a video about just anything and seeing what it turns into. Like, I'll go down there. For example, the Texas one, I was trying to find basically the biggest human man thought I possibly could. I thought going into it, I was like, all right. I just base everything on my own experiences. I went to North Carolina for school at Chapel Hill.
Right.
I had a lot of I was there for 4 years. I had a lot of experiences in college. I met a lot of the quote unquote stereotypes that you might meet. And then I was in a lot of the situations that you would be in if you were in college. I mean, I just lived it. So I can kind of recall on my own experiences. And then I've met that guy before. I know that guy. It wasn't the guy you saw in the video, but I know that guy from college. So
there are lots of them.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go down there and and I'm going to ask him what I would want to ask that guy. And then, we have a great team of people at Barstool. It's called our Viceroy program. And basically, anyone who's been in college, you might have seen a Barstool profile that's associated with your school. So say you go to Kansas or say you go to Texas. Well, there's going to be a Barstool Kansas or a Barstool Texas. And it's something we call our Viceroy program where there's kids. So we don't have people in our headquarters in New York City or people who are full-time employees running those profiles for us. In fact, it's just unpaid and not even interns. I think it's just unpaid kids who are willing to try to, kind of try their hand at what it would be like to run a social media account. But then the ones that are successful, so basically what they're told is to curate a page of things that you think are funny about your school, basically, and try to build engagement with that uses kind of the Barstool brand, but also like is directly relative to your school, your location. It's good for me because when I do go to a school, I can, hit up a guy who's running a Barstool, Texas, or a girl who's running a Barstool, Kansas, and be like, hey, like, would you mind putting out on your page that I'm coming? And if anyone knows this type of person to DM me and tell me about them. So then I can kind of, I can filter through, and it's not to me, they usually send it to my producer, and then my producer will go through and she'll find, shout out to Kelsey Shaver, who's my producer, and she'll go and she'll find the ones that she thinks I would like best because she knows me pretty well. And then she'll send me kind of the finalists, and then I will be able to, from then I'll hit up people like, hey, we're making this video, or interested in making it. And then that's how I find the candidates. But then also the other piece about the Viceroy program that's really good is the ones who do a good job running the Viceroy program. It's like the easiest way, statistically speaking, the best way and easiest way to get hired at Barstool, because that's how we take in most of our new hires are people who were in college and they did really, really well handling their Viceroy page. And it's like the proof is in the pudding. You can already see that they're capable of handling social media and they have a eye for it. Because everyone has always hit me up, how do I get a job at Barstool, or hire me or whatever? Like, what do I do? And the sad truth is you gotta make content, or you have to already be doing what you want to do. So if you want to make videos at Barstool, then you better have already be making videos. Like not that I'm the one who gets to hire, but Dave and the people who do hire, they're not going to hire you based on your word saying that you would be good at it. You have to have,
of course, nor should they. There's a classic saying that I love: action creates traction, and that's applicable here and everywhere else. You got to, right. They say it's like, you always want to be a step above, like your words is one step, then a resume is another step, then actually doing it is another step, and then proving you can do it for the person is the best step. Right. That's going to get you in there. Now, You've been at Barstool since the very beginning. When you were first jumping on, what did you think it was? What did you think it could be? Yeah. And how has that changed over time?
So, I mean, I got to give Dave and other guys credit. Dave had Barstool. I think he started, I want to say 2004 or 2008. It was quite a few years before I jumped on. Now, before I jumped on, it was a small group of guys who were doing it. It's got a lot bigger. I think I was the 13th employee at Barstool. I think we have, I want to say, over 250 now. It's somewhere around there. So that's crazy. I was early. They were definitely doing it before me. I wasn't on the ground floor. But, when I first heard about it, to be completely frank with you, my first window into it was two things. One, the Barstool Blackout Tour, which I had some of my friends, which was basically a EDM concert series that Barstool was throwing all across the country. That was nuts. And it's a longer story than we probably have time to tell, but anyone who's interested, you have to look it up on YouTube. It was a crazy, like, before the days of, it was really when EDM was really getting big, and they were throwing these nuts concerts all across the country, and it was making a lot of waves. They booked out in seconds every time. Like, you couldn't even get tickets to them. So I had heard about those. I had never been to one, but a lot of my friends had went to one, and they told me how crazy it was. And I knew Barstool from that. And then also there was something called Barstool Smoke Shows, which back in the day, and there's still a Barstool Smoke Shows page, which basically just posts like hot girls from, that are, I mean, it's pretty much the. That's all but they were doing that at the time, and it was kind of like a new, Instagram was relatively new, or at least it wasn't as big as it is now. I think it was relatively new because I had just created a profile within like the last year or two from when Dave reached out. But it was kind of the Instagram thought, or the Instagram chick, or whatever you want to call her, the one who basically poses half naked to get followers, whatever that's called, model, whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with whatever you want to call it. That was like a new thing, new phenomenon, and that you could just like elevate your status that quickly online. and not be a porn star. You could just be like a normal person, but also like have some type of like horny fan base. And so Barstool kind of took advantage of that, and they had the Barstool smoke shows, which they would post like every day on their profile. And my friends all had, when I was like, hey, this guy from Barstool reached out. You guys ever heard of it? And they're like, you don't know Barstool smoke shows? They're like showing me all these pictures. I'm like, I have no idea how
I
this
feel
is
like
going
I
to relate
should
to
know
me.
Barstool Smoke Show.
Yeah, I mean, I followed it, but I was like, I don't know exactly how this is going to end up relating to me. So I really didn't have any idea at the time. I'm from the South, and Barstool was a Northeastern brand. It was Boston based, and they had just reached into Chicago and New York. I guess Chicago's not Northeastern, but the majority of their followers were Northeastern. Right. And that's part of the reason why I think I was maybe an appealing candidate for a job, is because I was from the South, and hopefully was going to help bring them people, from the South, bring them fans from the South, or, at least someone who understood what's popular where I was from. And that's kind of how my entry point. That was my entry point.
That's so crazy. And then to see sort of what it now is today, where it's, one of the most globally recognized brands in the world. Mm. What do you think is, the future for something like Barstool? Do you see it being like a Netflix? Like what do you want to see it be?
I think that the coolest thing about Barstool and what's made it so good and so relevant for such a long time, because you got to think about, something that's cutting edge, or something that's controversial, or something that is kind of new and risky, or all these things. It's very, I would say, I'm not saying it's easy, but those are the type of things that can cut through the fastest. If something's edgy, then it will cut through the noise the fastest and get on your radar. And that happens pretty often. Something new will come around. It's like, whoa, this is kind of out there, which is what Barstool was. But the thing that doesn't happen with those things, they don't have staying power most of the time. Right. It's something that once it's over, it's hard to continue to build on that. What Dave has done that's so incredible, who I keep saying Dave is the founder of Barstool, for anyone who doesn't know, the guy who eats pizza on Instagram is how a lot of people know him. It's crazy what he's done is he's able to keep it a relevant brand for so long. I think it comes down to really, one, he does a really good job hiring people. He brings in people who are really, really talented and able to expand the brand just by them being themselves, but they're hired by Barstool, and he's very hands off. So, for me, for example, like I'm more than happy to give Dave all the credit and to big him up, because he's like a great boss. He's not in my hair. He's like, he gives me every opportunity. He always is open to new ideas. So we bring in people like that who want to build up the brand. And then Dave himself, I just call it what it is. I've said it before. I've told him to his face, like, he just doesn't ever take his foot off the pedal. He never is complacent. And it just, we talked earlier about how that's just how my mind works, is in terms of like, I would never laugh during an interview. It's just really not how my mind works. Like, that's just how his mind works. Like, I would love to say it's like, he's not some type of like reads motivational quotes in the morning and like fires himself up. Like, he literally just, he couldn't stop if he wanted to. Like, he's the type of guy who's going to be doing probably media content and trying to be like relevant on social media well after he's retired, or well after he needs the money, or well after any point. That's just how he is. Like, some people are just built different, and that's just how Dave is. So he wakes up every day and he's like in the mix, and like, you couldn't take that from him. He's already well past the point of like needing the money.
He doesn't need anything.
So, like, he could walk away now and he'd be set, and that's just not in his DNA. Like, even if something were happening with Barstool, if they kicked him out, like, what Apple did Steve Jobs back in the day, like, they would build something else right away. It would be something else big. He doesn't need the same things that would motivate him are not probably the same things that motivate the average person. I would say that. And that's so credit to him. That's why Barstool has been able to, between the people he's hired and just the way is set up, he's a controversial, he's not even controversial. He just says what he thinks and doesn't care. And so just those two qualities, I think, have gave Barstool a lot of staying power, and probably will continue to do so until they do kick him out or something like that, some type of Apple situation. I don't know.
No, it's true. There are two things that you said that were really interesting. When, that type of content that is a little bit edgier, that is more likely to cut through the noise, you mentioned that stuff doesn't really tend to last. Do you think that's because it naturally desensitizes an audience really quick? Like once you've seen it, and now it doesn't mean as much to you? Or do you think it's that more people aren't like, Dave Portnoy in the sense of they can't keep their foot on the gas? Why do you think that most of that type of content doesn't
Yeah,
last? Those people don't.
probably a little desensitization. Did I say that? Desensitization?
The point is there.
Whatever. Probably a little bit of that. And then also it's like, all right, so once you do something, it's like, all right, so what's next? Like what's bigger? And a lot of people are in this one field, or they feel like they're within the confines. Like Dave's a big football fan. He New England Patriots and his rise, the rise of the Patriots, Super Bowls, and his rise kind of happened at the same time. And so he really used, and I was hired at this time, but I was watching it unfold. Like he's really using his favorite team and the team of like kind of his main demographic, their success to boost up Barstool, whether it's, content or whether it is selling merch or whatever it is. But then as soon as he needs to pivot or something else happens, pivot, then he's in entertainment, or he's like with some TikTok guys, or like, now that Tom Brady's not with the Patriots anymore, they're probably not going to be winning for a while. Like Dave is in so many other worlds. He's in the stock market world whenever coronavirus happened, and the hottest thing was the stock market. He's right. In that world. Now crypto's popping up. Like he finds himself with the Winklevoss twins. Like he just able to not necessarily he just can transition in and out of every genre because he knows who he is, and he's like just himself. So it's easy, I think, to do that if you are just not trying to play a character, or you're not trying to, be something you're not. If you're just transparent, authentic, which I do think is what everyone likes about Dave and what they like about Barstool. I think, the most, I would say pretty much everyone at Barstool kind of has that quality of they're kind of just themselves.
And that's so rare too. Like that, nobody can overlook that. No other company is like that.
Right. So, I mean, Dave's had like just multiple sex tapes come out, multiple, controversies, multiple things that would get anyone else in trouble. He's just himself, and he's like, dude, and he calls it real. He's like, let's call it what it is, dude. For the sex tapes, like there's people having sex. It's like, you guys really gonna cancel me for doing something you guys all do? And it's just like, everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. Nah, we're not. It makes sense. But it's like I think he appeals to, like, obviously he's funny, but I think his like personality appeals to like just your logical brain too. He calls things what they are. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's true.
For your own personal brand though, it's something that I always say, where it's like the only brand that nobody has ever or will ever make an exit on is their personal brand, because you're born with it, you die with it, nobody else can. You can do deals, sure, the way that people like Joe Rogan and Spotify, like the deals happen, but not over a lifetime. And your personal brand will always benefit you in more ways than just business, right? So is that something that you think about often as you've grown and being able to contact, and you yourself can dive into any world you want as long as it's authentic? I've seen you interview everybody from Gary Vaynerchuk to Floyd Mayweather to the dude from Texas. So you're able, that guy should be proud that he's in that company. But being able to jump from those niches. And it's because too, and this isn't really even a question, more of a statement, but to add on to your point before, because it's authentic. And people are desperate for that, bro, on social media. The thing about Barstool though, which has always been so incredible to me, is from being around before cancel culture to being dominant during to the inevitable after, which I think we're sort of in now, where everybody's just like sick of it all. To being even more dominant there, you got to be, for like the whole company, from top, bottom, down, left, right, all the employees, every media member, you got to be ferocious to be able to, do that stuff, but also and be authentic. Yet also not care, because that's something that you've got to have. So do Is that something you also think about in terms of like just not caring what anybody says and that being like what helps you have the success that you have?
I don't know, dude. I mean, I just think for you watched how Dave conducts himself, or how we have another really talented guy at the top of our company who really helps out with everything, named Big Cat, who really like, he's completely different than Dave and how he approaches things and how he deals with things. And even, he's not a controversial figure. He's lovable. He's always rooting for the underdog type guy, like just a good guy. You just want to, Midwestern Chicago guy. And that's kind of his personality, but that's who he is. But even him, it's like when it does come time, people come for Barstool all the time. It's like, it's not like no one's came for Barstool to try to take us down. People come every day to try to take Barstool down. But if you put in the years and years of content and being people can watch you, whether it's a live stream or whether you're doing a daily podcast or weekly podcast, you're making videos all the time. It's like, eventually you know your audience, and your audience knows you, or your audience knows you is a better point. And so
Right.
they know what it is. Like, it's not like some type of secret. It would be one thing if there was like, okay, Barstool's running some type of secret sex camp or something. It's like, whoa, we didn't know about this at all. Like, this is wild.
Everybody knows. That's
but just like, yo, you guys said on a podcast this and that, and everyone's like, yeah, well, we listened to the podcast and we understand in context, and that this is a humor podcast and what they're saying, and then what they said after the part of the clip you cut out. We listened to it, we heard it. Like, this is not going to work. Like, we're not canceling Barstool. So I think that's really the point. Is just our audience knows us, and we have a big enough audience now where I don't think it could happen. I just don't think it could happen. Not with the people. They're very careful about, the hire. I think they do a really good job hiring. I don't think they're bringing in people who are going to like bring down the ship.
Yeah, totally.
I hope not. I don't know. You never know. You never know. But I hope not.
Now, if you could interview anybody from human history that's not around today, are there any names that stick out in terms of people who you'd love to have a sit down conversation with?
Dead guys? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
If I could interview a dead guy?
All the way back, you can pick Egyptian.
Wow.
Who do you want to talk to?
Wow. Dead guy. Number one dead guy to interview? That's a hilarious question.
I mean, I'd like to see you with Abraham Lincoln. I feel like that would be a great interview.
He'll bolster your dude, Steve Jobs would be a good one, because he's so the one. You're gonna get these guys with intense personalities.
Right.
He would be great. Abe Lincoln. I mean, you go through the list of these big time guys or girls. Hey, well, I would be down to intermix with anybody. That's the other thing too. Is like, people be like, every once in a while I have someone set up for interview, and I won't name names or anything like that, but people will approach me and be like, hey, this is are you worried about doing this? Like, he has some, bad things that he's done, or he has accusations about this or that, or he's he's not a good guy. And I'm like, dude, I'm about to interview him. I'm not about to
be him
or try to like up him and get him to be the president or whatever. Like, I'm just gonna like interview him. Like, I interview anybody. Like, as long as you're not gonna murder me mid-interview, I'll interview. So
right, you're like, I hope he tries to pull some of that stuff off during the interview.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be an endorsement of the person. There's always different situations. I'm not saying a blanket statement, but like, even, for example, Dave interviewed Donald Trump, and people were mad at him when Trump was still president. And Dave's like, yo, like, it's the president of the United States is asking me, like, I have an invitation to interview the president of the United States, and you think I'm not going to? I'm in the content business. Like, We're trying to do numbers. It's not an endorsement.
It doesn't matter who the president is or anything.
Right. I would interview any politician, if I had an opportunity to interview Trump, I would do it in a heartbeat. Like, to this day, it would be a fire interview. That one might be my number one dead person. Does he count as dead since he can't be on any social medias? That would be a hilarious, so funny interview. I don't care who you are. So, but that's a good question. I don't know.
I swore you were going to say Kim Jong-un.
I would do him in a heartbeat. I can guarantee you Kim Jong-un won't murder you before, after, or during this interview, guaranteed, write it down, like he won't have me assassinated, nothing. Then I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I think, yeah.
It's an interview. Like, hey,
right.
dude, what are you doing? Why you can't be on the internet?
Right. You're not endorsing the Texas college thought guy.
No, I didn't say that's the right way to live life. I just asked him a few questions.
That
if
is
anything, I'm the one doing the right thing. Like, get to the bottom of this. What's going on here?
right. Because to interview somebody, especially if you're not just like, it's all about the context of the conversation too. Like you can ask them questions without feeling any type of way just because you're trying to get answers. It's like, how are you supposed to learn what you think about somebody without talking to them?
Right.
That's why it's very difficult to judge people from online. A, because people only post what you want them to see. And B, it's all the opposite of what, you're talking about loving most, which is people in their natural uncomfortable state. That's when you can tell, like, all right, do I like this guy or do I not trust this guy? Or, what do I think? I think you should host the presidential debate. I
would love to, dude.
That's what I think.
And I would treat it with the respect it deserves.
which is none at all, or what?
Yeah, no, probably some. Probably more than it's getting now. Less than it has.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Now, I mean, like, if you know how Jeff Bezos is going to space? Mm-hmm. A, what do you think about that? And B, imagine if you were the guy that was going with him and you got to interview him on the way up. That would be pretty hard to keep.
I wouldn't. If Bezos is definitely not going to go, though.
You don't think he's going?
Not on the first trip. Are you serious? You think he's going to risk his life going on the first trip to space? That's how we lose.
That's what he said he's doing.
No, he said he's going on the first trip.
First one in like 20 days.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Jeff is going to space.
He stepped down as Amazon CEO to focus on Blue Origin, and he himself with his brother are going on the first flight to space in like 20 days as of recording this podcast, July 2021. And yeah, and they also charity auctioned off one other seat. The whole flight's only 9 minutes. They're going to the edge of the atmosphere and back down.
And it's never happened. No one's ever done it before.
Well, what do you mean nobody's ever done it? Like,
I'm saying.
Blue Origin hasn't done it with normal people.
And so this is going to be like a new theme park ride that you can sign up for if you have enough money and you go to space anytime?
In theory, if you have like $50 million to throw away on 10 minutes, then yeah.
I believe that. Yeah, it sounds like we've done it a million times. I would never think Jeff's going to be experimenting with his own mind, brain, body, and soul to do something we've never done before. I could see, I don't see anyone doing that, to be honest with you.
Oh, but who knows? Jeff is single now. I
saw Jeff with some ladies in Miami about a couple years ago now. But
did you really?
Yeah, it was a Super Bowl weekend, and he was they could have been business. I don't know. They were just female women. But we were at breakfast at the Faena Hotel. He had like a brunch spot, and we just looked over and was like, dude, is that guy next to his table? I was like, is that Jeff Bezos? It was. He was like Jeff Bezos. He was with a security guard and 4 chicks. I was like, dude, fire. That's how you want to see Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is that guy.
Yeah, he might actually be.
Wow, that's incredible.
I'm thinking Bezos also, just for the record, Bezos versus Musk. I'm giving early. It seems like that's turning into quite a rivalry, whether it's between them. Yeah. I'm Team Jeff.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like what Musk's been up to recently
with the crypto whatnot.
Yeah, man, he needs to cut it out.
He needs to go to sleep earlier is what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's playing with lives, dude. You need to stop. You need to stay your hand out of the crypto markets, my brother. Because you might have enough money to lose it all, but we don't all, Dude, he tweeted Tesla's overvalued in stock. I had a bunch of Tesla that just went down. I'm like, thanks, dude.
Dude, it's the word. I mean, that's why the SEC exists. It's to prevent people like that. But when you have people that are that rich, yet
He doesn't care.
Can act like a child on Twitter to literally the world watching. Dude, it gets real complicated. We've never seen anything like this before. Imagine if Lincoln was like, buy Remington stocks, like the big gun manufacturer at the time. Like, buy Remington stock. Nope, too overvalued. Puts it out in the newspaper statement.
And everyone would, it's I think the SEC should have hit him harder. He obviously did not learn his lesson at all.
No, and the dude's tweeting like Miley Cyrus memes on Twitter that he's like,
I mean, he seems like he's pretty funny. He seems like a good enough guy, but I just wish he would cut it out.
Right. I do like him as a person. It's just, I hear you're frustrated, and everybody else too. Like, people text me every day. They're like, yo, this guy is ruining lives.
He is. It's like, dude, you not
for no reason.
Normal people out here, like, that you're literally financially crippling. It's crazy.
Yo, that Doge run from 0.02 to 73 cents, which he then,
okay, with those people, which I am not one, those people, they have no room to be mad because they owe him everything. So he has the right. If Elon Musk builds you up,
he can tear you down.
He's allowed to tear you down. Now, you could make the argument for Bitcoin because it really surged after he said Tesla added it to the balance sheet. And maybe it's a good argument to be had that because he was responsible for that push. If he wants to break it down, he can. But, dude, once you bring down Bitcoin, that's like the big dog, then all the other cryptos start going down. I'm a big holder of Asscoin. And dude,
are you actually?
Yeah. And so once he goes that he crushed Bitcoin, then all Asscoin, if Bitcoin goes down 10%, Asscoin goes down 20%. So I'm like, dude, there's repercussions to your actions, brother.
So speaking of these shit coins, how did you find yourself on that one? Were you a fan of its utility, or did you like the sound of it? Where did the
what do you think, Buster?
Man, I think you did your due diligence research. I think you spoke to your advisors, and I think that your advisory board, as well as family and friends, told you that Asscoin was a decent investment, so you put a lot of money in.
Yeah, no, it just made me laugh. So I was like, here's about everything I own, and I lost all my money in 2017. Every dollar I had to my name, which wasn't a ton. So I'm not saying I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything like that, but I lost everything I had to my name in 2017 off shitcoins. And it's in my Twitter bio. I plan on doing
really?
Yeah, I plan on losing everything I have again to shitcoins. So it's not that I want to do it. It's just like I know myself. Sometimes you just got to know yourself and call it what it is. My brain doesn't function on a high level.
Bro, I think there needs to be like shitcoin rehabs.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to be a part of it because I would be in it. I wouldn't even be able to help run it because I would literally be the client. I would be a client.
Dude, I think you could have a huge business opening a shitcoin rehab.
It's like telling people, like, don't do it. Doesn't matter how funny it is. Doesn't matter how much it surged yesterday.
Yeah, dude, those, man, it's really hard to stay away from them. I was in Doge at one point, although I have a bad Doge story. My Doge story is, and I can say this on the podcast, I put a decent amount in. I bought 1 million Doge when it was at a third of a cent. And then when it went to 2/3 of a cent, I was like, let's go. I'm out.
You doubled your money. You can't ever do that.
And I didn't get back in, but 10,000 would have turned into it. I think it was like 750,000. And if I had held for 2 more weeks.
It was only 2 weeks between the time.
It's like a month, but yeah, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes. That's what happened to you with Asscoin. I was up big. I was up really big. We had a couple big days, couple 100%, 200% days, and we had a 1,200% day. And I was like, wow, I'm sitting on a lot of ass right now. Always have been, but I got the coins now. And so
I got the bank to prove it.
I was like, all right, I could sell and make a substantial amount of money, more money than I probably ever deserved to make off Asscoins, or I can see if there's one more 12,000% day, 2 more 12,000% days, a couple more huge months, and be a multi-millionaire off ass coins and buy an ass yacht. And I chose the latter, and it crashed because of Elon Musk. So that's why I'm team Jeff.
I see it. Jeff Bezos, for all that he is doing, he is not tweeting about shit coins. Guaranteed.
I think it's probably where billionaire CEOs belong. Leave that for everyone else.
Imagine somebody like Bernard Arnault, who's also top 5 richest people in the world, owns LVMH, just starts coming out and doing the same.
I mean, if he does do it and he does it for Ashcoin, I won't say one word. But besides that, keep it to yourself.
That's crazy that you were in it in 2017, though. So you were pretty early on the whole trend.
Oh, crypto?
Yeah.
Well, I had an advantage. We worked with a guy. We hired a guy at Barstool called Bitcoin Marty, and all he was there to do was to advise us on our Bitcoin holdings. And he's a Bitcoin maximalist, as they say. So he really pitched me hard, and he got me in pretty early. So I would have done better with my Bitcoin stuff if I had just done what he said. He gave me probably the best advice anyone could have ever gotten, especially 2017. But I didn't do exactly everything he said. I did some of it, and then I thought I was smarter than him on some things, and those were the parts I lost my money on.
That's always the tough part about, I think the market in general. Although I am curious what your thoughts are on like the whole GameStop and AMC movements. And
wish I was in it, missed it. Wish I was in it. That's all I have to say.
But, it's funny because historically, and even still now, it's like anybody who's putting money into the market thinks that they know the market better than the people who are putting billions of dollars in the market and study it all day, every day, and have teams of 500, studying the deep analytics. When something changes in 1 second, they put, $1 billion in and completely shift everything.
My new favorite narrative that's going on that's absolutely 100% false is that the average investor actually does know more than those guys. Because the AMC thing, there's been a couple little little Reddit threads that have worked out and people have made some money on and kind of screwed over hedge fund guys. And now the new theory I've seen a lot of people run with is they thought that this was dumb money. But the truth is average investors who know nothing about the market actually are smarter than hedge funds, and they know more about the markets. I was like, dude, that's not true. And also that's going to come back from someone who's an idiot. That's going to come back and bite those guys. And I know that for a fact. The dumb investors, the retail investors.
I do love watching it from the outside, though. Talk about like a clean, healthy war. Like this is a good one. Like I'm a fan of everything going on.
Dude, normal people will get smoked. It's not going to be a war. It's not going to be close. They got one battle. They caught hedge fund. They're looking the other way. They even know that they were getting sucker punched. Got sucker punched one time. Now that they've got their eyes settled on them, it's over. Retail investors will and always will always will, and will continue to be smoked by hedge fund guys. 100%. It's too much money. And they're smart too. They're not that smart maybe, but they're smart enough, and they got a lot of money.
That they do, and they don't care. And they can also take losses.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to having money that you just don't have if you're just got your little Robinhood account, which I don't recommend anyone have.
Because it's like from a lot of people, one loss and you're
out of the game.
You don't want to play the game anymore. Like I even saw it. I think there was one point with I might have bought back into Doge like much later, but nothing significant. And I tried to sell and I couldn't sell. And I was just like, well, this is no fun. I think it was the same. I had AMC at one point. I think I broke even, but I tried to sell and I couldn't sell. And I was like, whoa, like there are no rules.
Yeah, exactly. And guess who that doesn't happen to?
Big guys.
Hedge fund guys. Yeah. I think I'm already out on investing because I made a lot of money last year during coronavirus. If you were in the stock market last year during coronavirus and you didn't make money, you need to stay out of it forever, because it was like just like going this. No, right after the crash, after you got in after the crash, which is when I put my money in, and you didn't make money, you selected the worst stocks in the history of stocks, because I think everything went up. Like the whole market just went up like this every day. So I made money off the stock market. I took the money out, and then now I have to pay my taxes on that money. I'm like, dude, it's not even worth it in the end of the day, dude. Because you think I still have that money to pay taxes on? That's an ass coin, my friend. That money is an ass coin now. In taxes, I got to figure that out. I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. It's not designed for idiots, man. It's really, financials are a hard game for people with hard minds, and it's just not me.
No, you make behind the jokes, you make some very valid points, which are, oftentimes because of short-term capital gains taxes, which is what most people are taking in these meme stock crypto things. You're getting taxed very hard when you're not losing, right? So you have to win, and then when you win, you get taxed super hard. Most people don't even think about that, especially in the first time. And it's true. Last year, shout out to the, God bless them, but the people who tried shorting the market right after the crash last year.
RIP. Dude, that's the other crazy thing too, is like talk about like these big institutions, whether a hedge fund, like on the other side of it, on the government side, the IRS. How is there not an option when you sell something on Robinhood to pay the tax now? Oh, you have to hold on to that money for a year, and then we'll come get it from you in a year. And we're not going to tell you exactly how much we want of it. You figure out how much we want and give it to us in a year. If they wanted the money,
and if you're wrong, you go to jail.
Yeah, if they really wanted the money, they would just get it from you immediately. It'd be so easy to put that function in. Would you like to pay your taxes now off this capital gains? Yes. Boom. Then you just get your profits. But they don't do. It's so easy, but they don't want to do that because they want people to go to jail, or more so, they want people to pay huge penalties. It's crazy, dude. I mean, it's not crazy. It's just how the world works. But anyone who thinks that the little guy is going to come out on top, I hope you're right. But good luck.
No, but it's true. That's how most companies work. Like you get a salary from a company and they take out the taxes and you're done. It's done. You're set. Yeah. But with all these other things.
No. I'm sure it's a little bit more complicated than I'm making it seem, but I know it's not complicated enough they couldn't figure it out. I know that for a fact.
Right. No, I do think it would be smart for all these platforms to institute it just to protect people too. It's like,
and you don't have to, but just an option. Hey, are you an idiot? Do you know for a fact that if we don't take this money now that you're going to spend it and then not have it when we do want it? Okay, take this option.
Dude, there should be an idiot option to everything because I am that too, 100%. Where it's just like a lot of stuff. Just want it handled. Like, do whatever you got to do. Peace of mind is more valuable to me than 100%. The money and anything else.
1,000%.
Yeah, dude. It's funny. I think I put something out on LinkedIn, which I think you would be popping on LinkedIn. It's great social platform, underrated. What I was saying was I had put something out that was like, it's super important to, chase the things that money can't buy. If you are, feeling, if you ever feel like you're not productive or you have a little bit of extra time, it's always good to put that time into things that money can't buy, which are things such as fitness, peace of mind, real relationships. If you were to give, younger kids or even yourself younger, at a younger age, a piece of advice, what would you tell those people?
All right. So I thought about this the other day because someone asked me, is the echo really bad in here? We have no choice. All right. So someone asked me the other day if I was giving like what do they call the graduation speech, a commencement speech, what I would talk about. And I think it's kind of the same thing you're saying. So my answer was this. It's probably not as good as your answer, but this is what I said. I said, the best moments in life that you have to realize when you have them and when to take advantage of them, maybe the best opportunities in life, I have found a lot of times, maybe not 100% of the time, a lot of times come in what I personally call stolen hours. So what a stolen hour is to me is like, for example, you're going out with your friends or you're not going out with your friends. You're just going to go grab a beer with your friends. It's a very basic example. And then all of a sudden you're going home and the whole thing's planned and then you feel good about it. And then all of a sudden you're a couple beers in and then you're like, let's go over to one more bar. And then all of a sudden you have one more beer, two more beers. And then all of a sudden you're operating inside of stolen hours where you had no idea that these hours were coming. And then now you had no expectations for them. You had no idea that was even going to happen. And then all of a sudden you found yourself just in absolute limbo, living in the moment because you had no idea you could even plan for this. Another good example of a stolen hour is you're in class. Say you're still in high school, you're in class. My little brother just graduated high school. He's sitting there and he knows that he should not be sleeping. This also goes for being in a good movie, class or a good movie. Either way, you shouldn't be sleeping. Okay. You're sitting there and all of a sudden your eyes start getting a little tired and you kind of feel them doing like this and you're kind of squinting. And all of a sudden you're in a stolen hour, right? And you're just doing like this and you're sleeping. And it's the best sleep you'll ever have in your entire life. Tell me that your best sleeps weren't in class. It's so pure. You feel so good. It's almost like sexual in a way. It just kind of tempts you. Don't do it. And then you just kind of.
The criminal nature
blissful.
Is really good. Yeah.
It's a stolen hour. That's a stolen sleep. So I would just say my advice out of the little thing, your question, you realize when you're in a stolen hour. You can never predict it. You can never make it happen. But whenever you find yourself in one, take advantage of it because those oftentimes, in my personal experience, have been the best, most fun times in my life, best sleep of my life, best anything of your life is the one where you didn't see it coming and all of a sudden you're in it and then you got to just make it happen while it's there.
I love that, man. That's a really good answer. Much better than mine. I love it.
No, not much better. But I did get a chance to think about that one before, or else I would have laid an egg on that one. But I thought about that like last week.
Well, I truly feel like this podcast was a stolen hour because we didn't know that this was going to happen today. Didn't know that it was going to happen now. Just
Good
had
point.
fun, man. It was really fun. So thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to link all your socials and everything below so
Absolutely
people can catch some of the references that we were talking about. And yeah, man, no, I really appreciate doing this. You're welcome anytime.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you having me. And yeah, we'll do it another time. We'll run it back on my show, your show, in real life. Who knows?
Boom. Sounds good, man. All right, everybody. See you next time. Peace.